everyone. Richard Carlton here. Welcome to another awesome day of FileMaker awesomeness. So it's awesome FileMaker with awesome sauce. Extra sauce of awesome. No charge for awesomeness. Reminds me of the Kung Fu Panda. One of my most favorite little animated movies, if I like animated movies, is the Kung Fu Panda. There's no charge for attractiveness or awesomeness. So today's going to be an awesome day. We're doing FileMaker add-ons. It's day 2 of 3. We've added extra day because there was such mayhem in the classroom setting. So these are live classroom settings. Yep, that's it, Panda, the Panda. The live classroom setting, we're all building add-ons, just trying to understand what an add-on is. And basically, the people who used Windows yesterday destroyed the class, right? So we're going to be, but we have the solution to that. Literally, it makes no sense. But we're going to give you the answer anyway because welcome to Windows. So real quick, I want to make sure that everyone is watching us. We can watch us on YouTube, Discord, or Twitch. I'm actually going to press the button over here because I want to make sure I'm on YouTube. I got to monitor the questions and answers very well. We got a couple announcements on the front end here. I want to cover that on the front end. So first off, I want to welcome all the folks here to Friday. Once again, this is fmtraining.tv where we do live FileMaker training every day at 1 o'clock Pacific time. Upcoming broadcast schedule. I want to cover a couple low-hanging fruit items. First off, the broadcast schedule looks like this. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. Come over here. So today is Kristian Olsen day 2. There's Kristian Olsen day 3 is Monday because it's going to take an extra day, right? And then following that, we got Jonathan Ray on Tuesday, and then we'll do kind of a one day kind of book kind of conversation, and it's kind of an open-ended conversation. It's not really a session for you guys to complain that you found an error. I mean, a grammar error. This is not the final one, but it's pretty far along. I found 3 or 4 errors just kind of skimming the first 20 pages. So, but I'm mostly looking for like content feedback, things like that. I'm going to pivot back to Kristian Olsen. Kristian Olsen, are you alive? Are you present? Are you here somewhere?
It's Friday. I'm doing fantastic.
Okay, do you have a picture, a video of yourself? Or we can just go to like, okay, this is the graphical representation of Kristian. Kristian, keep talking. There we go. That's Kristian. All right.
I can't see your screen, but I'm going to go along with it. You mean to share my screen?
Well, yeah, you can, or your whatever. We got the picture of you wearing your hippie outfit, so we're all set here. We're
Wait,
good to go.
Which picture is this one I sent you yesterday?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's the mild. That's the mild wolf. So.
All right. Well, I'm sipping on my soup. But I have no ice out here. So, yes, you want to share your screen, go ahead. And we need to talk about, you're going to set the resolution. Is that the resolution set correct on
How
your
does
screen?
that look on your end? Looks
okay. It's a little bit, it's fine. Can everyone see that? This is the Windows error. So we're going to start off with yesterday's problem child, right? So
yeah. So if you guys can, if guys and gals can see my screen here, we've got a Windows error. If you trap for errors, this is actually error 800. This is not an uncommon error that I've run into. I'll go ahead and go out of full screen here. In theory, I'll go out of full screen. There I am. So error 800 happens when you're not able to save a file to the computer for some reason. Most frequently, I've run into this because of the file name. In particular, FileMaker doesn't like periods. Certain operating systems don't like certain characters. I am not 100% sure why some people are getting this sometimes. Unless I do like a screen share one day with someone, I won't 100% know, though we do have a solution. What is confusing about this is I've sent the same file to one Windows user, they opened up and it worked. Sent it to another Windows user, they opened up and it didn't work. But the solution that we're hearing that is working for some people is to add an and to the file name. So from yesterday, we had a get window name, and then I believe Mr. Johnson was letting us know that if we added an and to it, it was solving it. Is that correct, Richard?
That is correct. Mark says he thinks there's a deeper Windows issue here, but since I don't work for Microsoft, right? You know, what are we going to do, right? So
I'd have to screen share with someone, and I'll tell you on my priority list right now, it's right below cleaning up the dog poop in the backyard. So
okay, all right. Well,
one day I'll come back to it. All right, so I want to go ahead and finish up just real quickly what we did yesterday, and then we can kind of weave and dodge as we need to today to figure out what's going to be the best topic for people. So to do a real quick recap, yesterday we all together in like classroom-like setting made our own boxes. I think one person made a cylinder, TK made a really sweet-looking stormtrooper icon, And then we packaged it up, which put it into a folder hidden on our computer so that we could go ahead and install it. And I think we started to do that yesterday, but I just want to walk back through it real quick in case people didn't necessarily get that far. So again, we had our add-on here. We packaged it up, and then over here, I'm going to uninstall it. So I should have started from scratch. We're going to go ahead and go to our marketplace. We're going to look for our add-on, box RCC. We're going to choose it, and we're going to drag that onto screen. And now we can go from module to module, dragging and adding these boxes as we want to. And that's about where we wrapped up yesterday. So, we kind of went over yesterday. I want to give everyone a quick opportunity. Were there any follow-up questions to this idea of installing or dragging and dropping the add-on on? Otherwise, we're going to move on to the next topic.
I do have a request to make your screen one notch bigger. I'm
the resolution.
Yeah, because it'll be a little pixelated, and I think you need to make it.
How's that?
One notch. Oh, that's beautiful. People would definitely be able to see that now.
Cool. Okay. So, one of the things I want to know in terms of the next step is we're at a fork in the road, if you will, right now, of choices on what we can do. One choice is we ante up, if you will, the add-ons in the relationship side of things, because right now we're just dragging and dropping objects, but we can drag and drop add-ons that actually create a relationship to our FileMaker file. That's one option, but I'm thinking the other option actually might be more fun for people, which is let's make a box that does something.
I think relationships would be something we do down the road. I think if you had a box that had even a field and which would attach to a table or something, that would even be better. Relationships, I think, is step 2 after we've added fields or whatever, right? So.
Yeah, so let's, on this one, even be fields, but it's going to go ahead and give us a little bit more. So is my screen being shared, or is it
yeah, you're full screen right now, baby. And I'm looking for questions. Yay, a moving box. Yes, so we're going to follow along here? Are you going to give us the accordion? Are we going to get that too? Or what?
Well, I wasn't going to use the word accordion because he told me not to.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we can't use that word because people ask me what it is, and I'm not going to explain that.
If you guys have a copy of Starting Point, you can actually go in here and see one of these. But, I mean, you know what? We'll dial it down real simple. One thing I do want to show people right now, because I think some people from yesterday are going to have an inclination to take their add-on and duplicate the file and try to make that their add-on. So let's go ahead and do that myself. And I want to show you all something that's actually really important. So I'm going to take delete box.
I don't see it.
Where the heck? Oh, I put it in my Dropbox.
Well, you'll have to get one from there, yeah.
1 second. So I'm going to take, this is what I think a lot of us are likely to do, is we're going to take the add-on file that we have that works, and we're going to duplicate it. And we're going to go ahead and call this, I'm going to call it action box. We got a problem here. Yesterday, if you all recall, we talked about how the add-on process uses an internal FileMaker ID. And when we duplicate the file, we are duplicating that ID. And so if I try to use this as an add-on right now, I'm gonna run into issues. And so here's what you do to fix those issues. And let me go ahead and open up my checklist real quick. In my checklist, there is a gotcha in here. If you duplicate an add-on file, you must go to Manage Security to reset the ID. So this is the item in our checklist that we're discussing. I'm gonna move that out of the way. So this is something I didn't even know about until the add-ons came about, but I'm gonna go up here to File, Manage, Security, and I'm going to come over to the advanced settings, go to File Access, and I'm going to go ahead and reset all. And this dialog is going to come up going, are you sure you want to reset it? You the unique ID? Yes. So if you don't do this, all this next stuff we do won't work. Now you don't have to do it in the beginning. You can actually do it later, but it's very important that you all go to the File, Manage, and reset that internal ID for this to work. If there's any questions on there, post them, and the boss will tell me.
No questions so far. If people want to know what that does, don't worry about it. It's a whole nother broadcast if we ever want to cover that. But as a side note, that capability, what that was right there, not so much for the add-ons. Building an add-on is not on the certification test, but we talked about tests this week. Knowing what that little tab does, Kristian, go back that briefly just for a second.
Yeah, absolutely.
File, Manage, Security.
You may have to hit advanced.
Everything. Just go to advanced settings because the rest of it. All three of these, this, and this. Wow. Okay. This is on the test, and so what this does, it's drawing, and then it draws it over there. Very cute. It's definitely on the certification test what this does, and what this is, just a short summary, is that if you have file A and you want to trust file B, in the old days, people would hack into your FileMaker file by using a low-level privilege set, but coming into file A, they would be an administrator, and they could get in through a relationship. That makes sense. As long as they had some level of file into A, they could get through, and then because they were admin in B, they could get in here and cause all sorts of problems. Or they would replace a file that was part of a multi-file solution. The point was that if you had a multi-file solution, there's security holes. So what this does, it ensures that all your files in your multi-file solution have like the super secret handshake, right? Like if you're in the Mickey Mouse Club and you're going to go to this and this and this and this, and you're going to do this, and then that's the secret handshake to open up so no one else can get into it. That's what this is about. In this case, Claris is also using it. They also use it for ear encryption at rest. They use that number in there for some ear stuff. And then they also use it, obviously, with this add-on. Those two items are not part of the certification test, but knowing what that does, and you have file A and file B. And I think the question is something like, if you duplicate file A, right, and it has this setting on it, how do you have it retrust or untrust or refix the trusting issues, right, between the files, right? How do you get the files to trust each other again, right? You need to kind of understand it. There'd be at least 2 or 3 questions so you'd see one of those questions on your test. One of them would be. So once again, you can throw it away or not, but just that's the short version so people know. So sorry, Kristian.
Beautiful. No. I appreciate the extra commentary on that. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of here. And I have a done version of this, but let's go ahead and make one together. So we're going to do this real simple. We're going to go over here. We're going to make a slide control. And we're going to make a new box because we love our boxes. I'm just going to get rid of these things right here. And I guess we'll do 3 panels. That's fine. So and then we're going to make a button. Okay, we're going to put the button up here. And we'll put a little arrow on the end. We'll do text and arrow. If I can find an arrow. There we go. Slide 2. I'm going to go ahead and make that look nice. Well, somewhat nicer. I'm going to make this a single step. So I double clicked on my button. And I'm going to do a go to object. Those of you who have watched a lot of Nick's series, you'll be familiar with this potentially. So I'm going to do slide 2. Okay. And what I need to do here is also name these. So I'm going to go up here. I'm going to go to the ruler, and I'm going to name my first slide, slide _1. We're going to go to slide 2. We're going to name it accordingly. Don't put quotes in the name. That's the only spot in FileMaker that when you do text things, you don't do quotes is up here. It won't work. It actually sees the quotes. And I put in slide 3. Back to our first one. I'm going to take my button. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to bring it over here. Call this slide 3. Have an extra space. Change this to slide 3. And if you're following along, you probably have an idea that slide 3 is going to send us back to slide 1. Okay. This is not exactly how the accordion works, but we're just missing a couple extra buttons. It's very close. Okay. If I go back to browse mode, I can, I like I didn't put them in the exact same spot. I can jump, this one's not working. No one corrected me that I left a 3 there?
I'm actually watching the commentary here, and everyone's trying to keep up. Okay. Kyle's about to correct you. Stand by. Okay, Kyle made a note for PC users, so even manually selecting Kristian's add-on on the phone, FileMaker sees a screenshot, shows it clicking choose, but it will not add it to the object list on the left side. So apparently, if you're trying to, so here's another. Man, we're having like multiple windows issues here with this. Let me go to Discord real quick. So you keep doing your thing, but I'm going to pop this up real quick. So Mark is saying that even manually adding Kristian's add-on to add-ons folder, FileMaker sees it as a screenshot, but clicking choose it will not add it to the objects list. So the add-on extension is not being seen on Windows. Why would it not see that extension? Because FileMaker should have registered as that as part of the installation.
I really would need to see like the computer to see what's going on. But keep doing what you're doing. It's without seeing the screen, it's hard to know exactly. Okay. One thing too, obviously this doesn't matter because I'm just making this in real time, but when you guys make things, something that's really important, I think Nick has actually covered this. When you have objects where you jump from layout to layout or object to object, you need to have things pixel for pixel perfect. And you'll notice when I go from here to here, this button and this box jumps. This is not an add-on thing, but even if you're 1 pixel off and it's hard to see the shift of a button, the human eye picks up on that. So if you jump from layouts to layout and you feel like the screen is flashing, that's generally your issue. I just want to point that out. It's something I hammer with the new engineers whenever I train them. I'm not worrying about it too much in here because I'm going to probably throw this file away later. Okay, but now, as I jump from my slides, we have some indication here that we're actually moving from slide to slide to slide. Okay, so if we take our handy checklist, hopefully it's handy, and we go, hey, I've got an idea. I want to jump from panel to panel and see different boxes. I'm actually going to show you guys a slightly different one. And then I go and need to add this. I'm calling it action box. Okay. And I need to make a payload layout. Well, fortunately, because I duplicated my file from yesterday, that's already done. And then I need to go ahead and group all of my objects that I want to come over. And I can copy the name from over here. I copied it here, but I'll do it the same way everyone else is, hopefully. So I'm going to highlight all this. I'm going to do a Command R or go to Arrange, Group. So now it's all a single group. We can see that. Someone said it needs to be at the bottom of the list, but I don't know if that's 100% true or if you have multiple items, but we'll go and just do it. I'm going to copy this, or I can use my little button right there. Come back over here, paste that in. At the beginning of the text, it says name of add-on, and we're going to call this action box. Spelled completely wrong. Any of my clients that are potentially watching today are probably laughing right now. I have one customer, I coach him almost every week, and he tells me anytime I make something, if it doesn't work after our session, he goes back and checks my spelling on variable names. Okay. He's like, yeah, usually what you do works, so if something's not working, there's probably just a word spelled wrong in a script we touched. We're gonna skip the optional relationship parts, so we don't have to worry about that, and we're done. So I'm gonna pause for just a moment because I went a little quicker than yesterday. But the idea today is to start showing you how, rather than just moving a box that is worthless to us, how we can start to move things that actually have utility to us.
Did you group it? I missed that. I was over here looking at Discord. Did you group it?
Yeah, absolutely. I highlighted everything on screen, went to Arrange, grouped, and then yes, so you can see it over here.
So you ungrouped everything initially, and then you regrouped the new section.
And actually, if you look inside of it, there's I grouped all the boxes.
Yeah. Got it. Roger that. Okay.
So again, the two things that are most important to understand about the add-on process, this is why I think sometimes I communicate to Richard that like, hey, this is actually really easy. And I understand now that it's not necessarily, is that the two pieces to this outside of relationships are this name for the layout and this name for the object, the grouped object. That is the crux of it. And then I have more sophisticated ways of packaging it, but really at the heart of it, you can have this button with a single step, okay? So I'm gonna move that out of the way. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna package this, and looks like it works. It went ahead and made that little folder for me, okay? So now I'm gonna go to my handy copy of FM starting point, okay? I'm gonna go to, let's go to a new module where I've
okay, so David Angel says you need the button or only the script will work? Question mark.
You need the button.
Discord, bottom of Discord.
I know. I see. I'm reading his question.
I'm not sure what the hell he's talking about.
I don't know what he's talking about either. Are you referring to this button right here, David, the package, or are you talking about my buttons on the slide panels?
He's talking about the package, yeah.
In order to make the add-on, you have to fire the script step save packaged add-on somehow, to put it loosely.
So you don't have to have the button on the screen.
Correct. I guess you could. So here, let me
You
comment
can just
on
go
this
up under your thing up there and run the menu command to make a package.
Here is the reason I didn't make a script. This is I didn't. The transfer to file cannot be found or cannot be initialized. We'll come back to that in just a moment. So why didn't I just come up here to the script workspace, and that is gigantic, and make a script called package or whatever we want to call this?
Yes.
The reason I didn't do that is, let's assume that is what we do for our add-on, okay? And what the add-on is going to do is it's going to bring that script over to your target file. So let's say you do that for every add-on that you make. Eventually, your target file is going to have all of these package add-on scripts. That might not be the worst thing in the world. You could go and delete them, but why even add a step? When you do a single step like this and don't group the object, it's left behind. And so you're not sending, like if I wanted to bake you a cake, you don't need all the wrapping that the sugar can.
No. Okay, go over this again. So I'm afraid I misheard the first part of this. You don't put it in the script because if you put it in the script,
want it to come over.
Okay, stop. So far, okay, this is really important. This is like, all right, we're about to have an intervention moment right here. Okay, so we have. Okay, so I'm waving my hands. People can see me. They can kind of see you. I'm gonna move this out of the way here and get this out of the way. All right, so you're a little bit bigger. So here's the deal. So we have an object that we want to turn into an add-on. It's a grouped object. We give it a name. And you're saying that if we have scripts, any scripts at all up there, those scripts are going to get sucked into it too? Is that what you just said?
Yeah, because when you package an add-on, every single script in the file gets packaged. Okay,
guess what? I haven't heard you say that word yet in that way. You haven't said every single script in the thing. I mean, maybe he said that. Yes.
Well, so yesterday, I'll bring us back to it. Yesterday, you had asked me in the very beginning, what is an add-on? And I had thought about this ahead of time, and I think it's important to say it like this. You are installing a FileMaker file into another file.
A FileMaker file. A FileMaker file. Okay. I need to put that in the book. So everyone, we notice that's not in the book.
I'll give you a very bizarre example. I haven't necessarily needed a...
So what? So fields too, and relationships too?
Let me show you the totality of this. I took FM starting point. I took FM starting point with our demo records. So there's a single record in most of the tables, and I packaged it into an add-on, and I can install starting point into FileMaker files.
All right, I hate to break it to you, but if you didn't want to install starting point, something bad's going to happen because that's way too big of an add-on. All right, so Andrea says even custom functions too?
Yes.
Except that Kyle will tell you that custom functions don't always come across correctly, and you have to like check.
There are a couple things to be aware of with custom functions. Initially, if everyone remembers, some months ago, I did a stream and things kind of crashed because my add-on wasn't working. The earlier version of 19 wouldn't move over recursive functions. If you guys don't know what that is, don't worry too much about it. But then the other issue that is still there, not there, is let's say you make two custom functions in your add-on, and custom function A calls custom function B. Generally speaking, those will move over, but sometimes they don't. The reason for this has a lot to do with how XML works. XML, like a script or a case statement, starts from top and works to bottom. So you need to make sure that you create your custom functions in the correct order. So if custom function A calls custom function B, B actually needs to be A and A needs to be B, if that makes sense.
Well, is that in the creation order or in a sort order? In the creation order?
Creation order.
Oh, okay, which means that you could build an add-on and totally screw yourself. Then you'd have to delete all the custom functions, put them in the correct order, and then re-reference those in the scripts.
And so, like with my virtual tabs, there are ones that call each other. Now, this part gets a little weird because sometimes it doesn't break. And this is why, and as you pointed out, Richard, we are dealing with a new feature that isn't fully flushed out. I was talking to another engineer, Calvin and another engineer at RCC about this. And in terms of the things that are currently lacking on the add-ons, and our perspective, again, is this is not an end-user type of process. This is a developer type of process. Most of us in the community have been working with FileMaker for years, have moved code from one file to another, And we understand that in the process of doing that, things typically break, and there's a lot of time that goes into it. The add-on process is no different. The benefit to it at its current state is that even with the stuff it breaks, it's less work to move the code from one file to another file. But it's not a perfect process yet by any means. I mean, the fact that we're naming objects and layouts to make it work is such a hacky way of doing things, but it lets us do some really cool stuff.
Yeah, well, a lot of them to get something in market pretty quick. Hey, so real quick, so Andrea says, can you answer the question? Discord says,
if you use more than one layout in the source file, just one or all of them are exported. Great question. In the examples that we have been doing thus far, there has been one layout, and it's been a very special layout. It's the payload layout. But let me show you guys something real quick. Okay, I'm gonna move this out of the way, and I'm gonna come back to Action Box. Okay, and first, what I want to do is throw Action Box away. Actually, I don't need to. I can just reinstall it. So I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna open my Action Box. Okay, and right now the only layout in this file is this payload layout, as they call it. Okay, but I'm gonna go ahead and just make a new layout, and we're gonna call this layout number 2. Okay, I'm gonna open it up, and my desktop's not showing. I was gonna put an icon on here. We'll just put a word. Go. I'll make it font 22, bold, and centered. So what's going to happen with this other layout? Okay, so we're going to go back to our main layout. I'm going to go to Browse. I'm going to package this up. Okay, I'm going to close this, close that, bring this over here, go into layout mode, and we've got our box RCC here, which we're going to just move slightly out of the way. Oh, we'll just move it off layout. And now we're going to go ahead and add Action Box. Okay.
For Michael Gravel, yeah, it's a not really a beta feature. They call it a preview feature. That's what Claris calls product things that they sending out. It's previewing of something that someday might be final, I guess would say it. So
okay,
did you
so I want to explain what I just showed there. So I haven't even dragged this thing on screen. All I did was install Action Box, and then I went to my layout manager, and Starting Point has a lot of layouts. So ignore all of this stuff, and you'll notice that at the very bottom here, we have layout number 2. And what's on layout number 2? Wolfpaw. So yes, Andrea, if you install an add-on, any layout in the source file comes over. The only layout that doesn't come over as is the payload layout, which is installed by dragging it on screen. It is a special layout different than all of the others. But any layout you have in the file comes over. And this is why when you make an add-on, you need to be conscientious about the scripts that you add, about the objects that you add, about the fields that you add, and the records you add, because all of it is getting packaged and coming over. So you bake someone a cake, they want the cake. They don't want the wrapper that the sugar was in that you used to make the cake. And so you can't send them the cake with all the trash that you use to make it as well, if that makes sense.
So this is a good one. So Kristian, when you come down over here and you're adding, and so it's really important to understand that the process of when you add, you press this add button. So if it wasn't up here before.
I don't know what you want me to push something?
Can you see the screen here?
Now I can.
Okay, all right. So what I need you to do is can you uninstall these for me or something?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so it's a very important sequence of people to understand this, and I've get rid of both of them. Okay,
I am.
And so then that's great. So then, all right. So here's what we want to do. And, as soon as it's done. Yeah. Okay. Yep. So this is what I want to point out. When you press this button right here, okay, the installation of an add-on is really a 2-step process. Okay.
And let me just show people, because I know where you're going with this. So just real quick.
Yes.
No layout number 2.
No layout. It's not there. Okay. So the step. So it's a 2-step process, and I'd love to sat in the meeting when they discussed this about 2 or 3 years ago when they first hatched this idea. So step 1 is to identify the file, and to perform step 1 in the installation. So it's going to take all the code, it brings it into your FileMaker, it brings it onto your computer, and it brings it into the FileMaker file itself. It does two things. Yes. And so it installs it on your computer, which, yeah, so go ahead and do that if you want to do that for me. And what this will do is right now, at this point, it's going to install the layouts, the scripts, the custom functions, the field. It's going to install everything except the one payload item, the one object that was on the payload, if there is such an object on the payload, right? So what it is like a lot of people build. So for example, this is where it makes sense. So say we're going to do the little graphical thing, that the cropping image sample that we showed a week ago, right? And there's some supporting layouts and supporting scripts on that, but there's the initiation part of it that we need. So if, say, this was that sample, it moved all the layouts, like it's going to pop a JavaScript in a web viewer, and we're going to select the we're going to crop the image and all that kind of stuff. It's already in there. All we have to then do is do the second part of the installation, which is where we grab it and we kind of drag it on the layout, if you want to do that, Kristian. And basically, it's giving us like our initial trigger launchy point, whatever. Does that make sense what I said? And so this is like the initiation part. And then and you put this where you want it. Meanwhile, all the supporting cast, it's like the one person at the front, you put them there, and then all the supporting cast, scripts, everything else is already installed behind you. So two-step installation process.
And I want to actually come back to something that Ed Burkle had wrote in Discord earlier today that people on Twitch and YouTube might not have seen, that is a really good point. And maybe people on Discord didn't see this, so I don't bring it up. He said, hey, couldn't you just use this to like move custom functions from one file to another? And one of the add-ons I made recently is a list of utility scripts and custom functions that I do exactly that. Whenever I start coaching with a customer, one of my biggest frustrations is I have a template script that I use so that all of my scripts are nice and formatted at the top. I have a foundation of custom functions that I use, and I'm usually using GoToMeeting, and I'm controlling some other person's screen. And as soon as I start trying to work with them, I'm like ripping my hair out because they don't have my tools. And so now on day one, I send them an add-on and they install all of my scripts and custom functions into their computer. All they do is hit the plus right here. They never drag and drop it. There is no payload. It's just there to move a bunch of code over real fast for them. So there's two utilities to the add-ons. One of them is just this installation process. When I mentioned that I turned starting point into an add-on, there is no payload layout. All I did was package up starting point so that I can install it into a file to see if this would work. I won't get into the utility of why I was doing that.
Okay, so real quick, so I want to go back to what Leland Long, who's our, we're going to be covering his topic. It's the topic on that keeps moving around the schedule, Leland, but it's the latency testing
I'm excited
stuff.
about that.
Yeah, it's a good one. So
really cool.
Anyway, Leland put up here above TK, because a bunch of messages came in real quick on Discord. It says,
Long, the grouped object name is only required if you want multiple add-on instances in your solution. For a solution that only needs /once a single add-on instance, the grouped object name can be anything or blank.
Let's do an experiment.
Well, he's been building add-ons. I'm taking this as a statement, not as a question, but yes.
So what you're saying is you don't need to name the object of the payload, because I'm pretty sure that would break. But Leland's got good stuff there, so. We can experiment that, or we can keep moving on with it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's enough to derail the conversation. I just want to point out he had a comment there on it. Might be
that's a good. And here's the thing, everybody. This is what's really good on the add-ons. I've been meeting with Calvin about this. Artsvay, who's come to some of these, and most recently another senior engineers. I don't think done any presentations, and everyone is bringing something a little bit different to the table. Kyle in there as well. RCC right now, I think I've definitely kind of been like our spearhead on this. Everyone's coming to me on questions, but I am not the end-all or know-all, and the techniques and strategies I use are one of many that are out there. And so I think that what's really cool with this is, how's Claris put it, Richard? We're learning as we go, or something like that with these previous
yeah. They came up with some new marketing lingo that were instead of a minimum viable learning, minimum viable, MVL, I think, instead of minimum, when people talk about minimum viable product, they call it minimum viable learning. So yeah, I don't. Yeah, I'm not going to get into the politics of that. But yeah, but yeah, they're. I mean, basically, they stumbled into this and they realized that it was, they gave some food that the developers have been craving, this modularity stuff, and the developers have loved it. I can tell you, this is pretty much the only thing they've done recently that I can think of that developers have been excited about, right? And so obviously they want to capitalize on that enthusiasm, which is smart. But yeah. So it's
So
good.
let's in the little bit of time we have here, let's take this next level. So I showed everyone we can make a box, and now we have a box that does things. We jump from slide to slide to slide.
Yeah.
And this is a great dog and pony show, but who cares? Okay. So over here in contacts, if I haven't eliminated it, Nick has this fantastic thing that he has coined, the accordion. He's got it in the new UI UX file as well. It's just a little bit more sophisticated there. This is a slide panel similar to what I showed you guys there. You push a button and you go from one slide to the other. So let me preview something for everybody just real quick. Okay, so I'm going to go over here to Action Box, and I am going to copy this button right here. I'm going to close this, and I'm going to open up something else that you guys will see more of in the coming weeks. I think Margaret reached out to me March 4th or something like that. Is what I'm hearing, Richard.
Yeah, the schedule got moved around because people lost their minds because Nick wasn't here, and so we had to kind of connect Nick to his fan base. So yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so I'm not going to go into the add-on that's on here, but it's very similar to that action box I just showed you all. And I'm going to go ahead and package this, and let's see if it works. This is an add-on I'm using with customer files. There are a handful of add-ons that are really basic that I've made that I'm using frequently now. And so I'm going to come over here. I'm going to go to layout mode, and I'm going to go ahead and just delete action box. I'm going to go to add-ons, and I'm going to go ahead and hit plus, save. And I'm going to find accordion D. Oh, you know what? I didn't duplicate the file. It shouldn't matter. So I broke one of my rules there real quick, just so you guys know what happened. I took an add-on that I use, and I duplicated it and changed the name. But FileMaker doesn't care that I did that. That installation I just did right there really didn't do anything because I already had the add-on. But don't worry too much about that. So I'm going to go ahead and drag this on screen. Okay. And look at all this stuff over here. Let me delete all this. Okay, so I've got two versions of this. And I think actually they both work. And I can explain why there's two. But let's go ahead and just demo these real quick and see if they work. Okay, so we've got slide one. Oops. It should work. Okay. Oh, I was already on slide one. That's why I didn't do anything.
Well, you misspelled it too.
Nick did. But
oh, okay. Is it still because you saw the
I just duplicated. Yeah, I'm very aware.
Oh, there you
I
go.
thought about fixing it, but there's like a million of them, and I didn't care.
Yeah. Okay. I wasn't sure if that was causing the problem or not. Okay.
No. It's, I was clicking. I'm already on. So I'm on slide 1.1 right now, and I want to go to 1.2. So now I'm on 2.2, and you can see I am jumping between these. This is exactly. In fact, this came from, and let's see if it's still spelled wrong. So if we come over here. And we go to layout mode and we double click on this. I know he calls them addresses over here. I got it from somewhere else. But
yeah.
It's
well, okay. So David Angel asked this question. He says, well, no, was that his question? Yeah, his question. The issue I see is when you update your add-on, how do you update the one installed or one dragged? We back this versioning thing yesterday, right? And we kind of danced around it. We didn't really cover it. And you kind of just like blew through it again just now. So, yeah. So, and then Kyle's trying to answer the question, but I think you're the one who has to answer this question.
Sure. And I think I actually showed this with the box one a couple minutes ago. No one probably caught it but I missed something and I went back and added it. Once you do this plus right here, once you do the plus on the add-on, you are installing the file, the layouts, the scripts, blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
The part that you drag on, this payload, it is coming from, where is it? It's coming from here, inside your computer. So when you hit that package add-on, you change this code right here, And therefore, any of your add-ons that you have this over here, the next time you drag it on, it could be different.
But it's already done. So you're saying that you can easily update part 2 of the install, but part 1's already baked into your file, right?
Yeah, so if you make substantial changes,
like the layouts, supporting layouts, supporting scripts, things like that,
then you could, this is what we're learning together. I am taking it one step at a time. I'm very cautious to make some radical changes and reinstall the add-on and just replace the ones that are in there. It's a larger conversation than me very quickly saying this is how it works though, and this is the correct strategy. If that's, but the stuff in your file, if you repackage it, the stuff that's already in the file doesn't change. The only thing that would change is future draggings of this on. So let's show this in real time. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to go ahead and move these off screen. And this is where I'm still personally experimenting a bit, okay? But we've got our action box, and we're going to drag it on screen there, okay? And now we're going to come over here to action box. And we're going to take slide 1. I know it says go slide 2. And we're going to go into the object here. Okay, and we're going to take the box. This is a little bit of an experiment. I think I know what's going to happen, but let's see in real time. I'm going to change the box from this weird yellow to a blue. Okay, let's change the rectangle as well. That's kind of hard to... Well, it's clearly not the yellow. I'm going to save it. I'm going to go to browse mode. I'm going to package it. Okay. And I'm going to move that out of the way. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to drag it on screen. And let's see what happens. So the old one, totally the same, untouched. The new one has the changes. Now, if I go into browse mode, these buttons won't work. Not because of what I did there, but because the objects have names, and you can't have 2 objects with the same name. Though I think
FileMaker will not let you have 2 identical named objects on the same layout. And if you try, it'll just put a number.
It gets pissed.
Well, it puts a number 2 or 3 behind it. So look at the Discord.
This is one of the only times it doesn't, though. But it won't work. If you click on them, it'll get all pissy. So see, it's changing. So, but that's not the add-on necessarily breaking. And so Andre earlier, I think it said, how do you deal with conflicts? That's a somewhat open-ended question, because first we'd have to define what a conflict is. But if we use this as a conflict, well, you have to deal with it. And frankly, this is again where I tend to go back to, this is not an end-user tool. This is a developer tool. And if the developer doesn't understand how to use their tools, no matter what it is, if it's a portal or buttons, you can get yourself into some trouble here.
Let's see what else.
And anyone who noticed the color change, I only changed the box on slide 1.
Yeah, on the slide, yeah.
So the other thing too, and this is where we're experimenting, and this is more probably a day 3 kind of conversation, but I'd mentioned yesterday, hey, before you dump the add-on in, you should try to match the style and theme. So if I go back to layout mode, this accordion that I made over here is formatted and styled for FM starting point, because guess what? That's where I'm likely to do most of my work, and I have 2 versions of it. So when I drag and drop this on, I can decide for that customer's layout, which one of these do I want to use, and I can delete the other. And it already fits their style. So one of the things I may very well do, I'm again learning as we go, is before I install an add-on in a customer's file, I may very well make that add-on for their file. So I might have a virtual menus add-on, but each time I install it into a customer's file, I may make it slightly different for theirs because I want the style and theme to match theirs. And what this means is if I make a virtual menus number 2, it is now a totally different file with a totally different unique ID. Now, I'm not telling everyone that that's what they should go and do, but this is part of where the experiment comes in. I've talked to Kristian didn't reinstall the add-on after updating, correct? You just drug on. No, I did. You're right, Ken. I did not push the plus a second
So the
time.
part 1 install did not reoccur. The part 2 install, which is the package, right? The payload got dropped in a second time. So
exactly. And I could go do this again. So I could take action box here. I can go into here, and let's just take this box now, and let's change the word RCC to Clarice.
Clarice, yeah.
Not Clarice, Clarice. We're going to save it. We're going to go to browse mode. We're going to package it. Okay, we're going to close that window. I'll just close that. Come over here.
So remember this is the part 2 install we're doing. The installs are 2 parts. Part 1 is just installing it down here, right? And part 2 is this drag and drop onto here, right? So.
Mm-hmm. And understanding that those 2 things serve 2 different functions. So again, Ed had brought up, hey, maybe we just use this to install custom functions and scripts. All you got to do is add it. For a lot of these add-ons that we've seen, you might only drag and drop it one time because they just need a button that takes you to their layouts and their file. The only reason you drag and drop is to add a button to go to their stuff. It's totally self-contained. But maybe you want that button in multiple spots. So suddenly this ability to drag and drop becomes useful. And for me, the current utility of the add-ons is this, okay? I want to build a bunch of new layouts, and I want to use Nick's accordion. So I go to somewhere like staff that probably doesn't have the accordion. I go into layout mode, and I take all my stuff here, and I just move it. Let's delete this. Okay, I'm going to take everything on screen, and I'm going to just move it over temporarily. You guys don't know that trick, holding shift and moving moves things 10 pixels at a time instead of 1? Really handy. And I'm going to drag the accordion on screen. Okay. And I'm going to ungroup it. I'm doing Command-Shift-R, but you can do that from a range. And we're going to get rid of this one. Oops, go to my object tree. Okay. And then we're going to go to slide 1 here, and let's put the first name. Let's put that in there. Go to slide 2. Let's put some other fields in there. I think you all get the point here. Okay, I'm going to go to browse mode. And I can go to slide 2. I can go to slide 1. And now the way that I personally look at this is FileMaker for some time has not expanded our tools at the top of the screen. And this frustrates a lot of people.
Yeah.
But instead what they've done is they've given us the tools to make these buttons at the top. And so, you know, a lot of times I talk to the junior engineers about advanced FileMaker people versus juniors like chess players. Most people have probably played chess to some degree, and it might be surprising to learn that the advanced chess player and the beginner chess player can actually see ahead the same amount of moves, which is something like 7. The average person can remember 7 characters. That's phone numbers work really well. The difference between the advanced person and the beginner person is the beginner person sees each movement of a piece as a move. My pawn to here, my bishop to here, my rook to there. That's 3 moves. But the advanced chess player has played chess enough times that they see a grouping of moves as a single move. And I'll give you an example of this. I can remember 1, 2, 3 as 3 individual numbers, or I can remember 123 as a single number. The way that I look at this is Nick has taken something like our slide control, our buttons, and a script and made an advanced layout object. And this combines all 3 of those moves into a single move. And now the time that it would take me to build an accordion goes from 3 steps to 1 step. And to me, that is hugely utilitarian here. You don't need to know JavaScript. You don't need to know advanced stuff. You can, and in fact, this is actually a copy and pasteable thing. You don't even need an add-on. But how nice is that to be able to jump from layout to layout and kind of drag and drop that on? Did I lose anybody there?
No, I think it's good. I think we're kind of wrapped. Where the airplane is. Put your seat back.
Runway.
Your seat's upright. Your tray table's back in the upright position, and because we're going to be landing the plane, but. Everyone seems like what they want to cover on day 3. So Kyle's talking about renaming of objects comes into play. He says likely probably be covered on day 3. So what are you doing on day 3, Kristian?
I don't know. So I have a bag of goodies, and I'm interested in hearing from people. We can continue some of this conversation on objects. The two things that come to mind that I think would be useful for day 3 are, we haven't talked about how to make add-ons utilize the relationship. And that's definitely more difficult. And I really wanted to show people that you can make an add-on with no relationships. That's what Calvin did. That's what Art did. Steve Allen recently has made one. And so I really wanted to hammer that point home. But maybe we should start to show people, how do you make an add-on that actually draws a relationship from an existing table in the file to your add-on? So I can do that, and honestly, we could easily spend the whole hour on it. Okay. The other thing that we can do, but I'm thinking I'm leaning towards that one, is talk about the strategy of these. So you come up with an add-on, but how do you actually make an add-on that's useful? And I'll give you 2 examples.
Oh, the package installation thingy?
What's that?
The package installation process, or what?
Well, so when these first came out, I think I was in my hot tub probably drinking, and I'm messaging Richard that the add-ons are going to change FileMaker, and I'm going to make a purchase order add-on, and that's you're going to have to quack. That's bullshit. You're not going to make a purchase order add-on right now, but there is great utility there. So you have to understand that, like, you're not going to necessarily make a purchase order, but like what Calvin has done with that cropping image, that's really cool. It's a totally self-contained file that you can drag and drop directly into a file and have this utility with. So there's these standalone add-ons. I don't know if Kyle, with yours, with the colors, if it works that way, but I'm going to guess is these utilities. But then you have add-ons that actually utilize the relationship and integrate with the existing parts of the file. And if you do that, how do you make the add-on work from one module to another module, or when you have 2 windows open? That might not sound like an issue, but you're building something that's over here that has to get dumped into something and suddenly kind of interact and work with it. But that might not necessarily be good for Monday. It might be good to start on the relationships. And when we do that product next month, we could talk more about how I made those different add-ons work in different modules. So
Peter Geens is asking if you're going to talk about security of third-party add-ons.
I don't know
what about the security of third-party. Yeah. Is it safe to use blind?
Maybe that could get into the JavaScript. I'm not sure what I would comment on.
Well, the question would be: is it if you were a malicious piece of crap, Kristian Olsen, how much damage could you do by sticking your add-on in? Because
you're installing source file or you're installing code, so
could be pretty bad, right?
Could do something.
Yeah, but
I haven't thought about it from a malicious standpoint.
But someone would then have to activate the code. So yeah,
something would have to turn it on. It's not going to just turn.
Okay, so say we have that like really great little. Yeah, so say you have the really great little image, JavaScript, the cropper image thing, and then when you run that JavaScript code also takes
the entire data table to their server.
Well, it takes your picture from the camera and then it beams it back to China or something, right? And so yeah, I guess you might want to like trust the person.
I wonder if they could use the data API tool to export all, but wouldn't they have to know the names of the tables in order to? No, you can probably get. I guess theoretically that there is a security concern. Too, like, what would someone would have to, in order to put the time and energy into it, there would be something that they'd want to get out of it. I guess some people just like to see the world burn. So, but you'd have to have an add-on that people want to install. It's an interesting thing. I hadn't really thought about it till right now.
All right, so the answer is we just covered security for Peter Geens. The answer is next week. We would just reference this broadcast just now. We've covered security. Don't use something from someone you don't trust. Sorry, yeah. Peter. It's like a really snarky answer, but what do you want us to say, right? This is a preview feature. It's not supposed to be used for any mission-critical activities, right?
Hey, Richard, so my add-on's not supposed to send me all their personal information?
We've covered security now official for Peter. There we go. That was us.
If there are any outstanding questions or big requests, put them in here. To the best of my ability, I will try to cover some of those things or keep those in mind for the future. Kyle, keep them within perspective. You know, I have an hour to get all this in. But if there's anything that people feel like they're really not understanding or want to see, I do want to see that, because I could. There's so many areas like the security brings up that we can go into this. So tell us what's most interesting to you all, and we'll try to focus a little bit on that.
Well, we're going to try to focus on that as much as we can without any adult beverage. So Kristian, hey, welcome once again. Kristian's doing a great job. What do you guys think, Kristian? Should we invite Kristian back more? He's kind of a nice guy. You know? Yeah? Yeah.
Depends on the day of the week.
Yeah. All right. Everyone likes you, so you get the invite back. So, all right, thanks everyone. We'll catch you Monday.
Adios.
Guys just stepped up the whole way. Calm, cool, collected the quarterback. Great read, good patience. More importantly, great job up front protecting this quarterback to give you a chance. And that's all you can ask for.
Try to rally down 10. 9:25 to go here in the fourth. Short motion by Amendola from the left. Brady takes the shotgun snap. Stands in, throws it left for Amendola. Reaches up and snaps a high throw and lands inside the 10. Rolling to the 9. Ball slightly behind him, but Danny makes the grab.